I really liked Help I'm Alive. I thought it was really solid in terms of what was going on with future plot lines. I thought the plot lines that were happening in this episode were really good. But then I thought about it, after I had finished it, and my conclusion is this episode is good. It's by no means bad, but I think when it comes to being memorable, it just kind of blends into the many other episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Because I feel that when you're streaming this, binge watching Grey's Anatomy again, you'll get to this episode and be like, I'll just leave it on as background noise and, do something else. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because as long as you can pick up the crucial details, which we'll talk about in a second, the episode does its job. But it's not one of those episodes that sticks out. Like, I really thought episode 9, episode 8 of this season really stuck out. Flight from season 8, episode 24 sticks out. Though the episode from season 6 where Derek is almost dying and Christina's operating on him sticks out. Derek's deaths episode sticks out. Like, there's like crucial moments that really stick out, and I don't think anything super crucial stuck out. But I think episode 11 is particularly given from how the trailer is hyping it up, and we'll talk about episode 11 in that trailer review. Will be one that sticks out because of its intense focus on Debbie Allen. So I thought what we got was pretty interesting here, and it sets up some future plot lines, and it's also developing the character of Glasses, who I still don't care for, but I like the fact that they're at least attempting to develop him. He's only been on the show since season 14, and he's been in a recurring capacity. He's still relatively recurring, I imagine. I mean, given just his small role in the show, I mean, it's important, given the LGBT representation, but they're trying to essentially make him stick out. I really just feel that he's totally incorrectly matched with Alex Landy's Nico Kim, because first off, I think Alex Landy can't act. I think he's a really boring actor. Like, I don't see the sparks between the two. But of the two actors, I think Schmidt is much better, and I still really don't care for either doctor, but I'd rather see more of Schmidt than see more of Dr. Kim. So I like what they're doing with him, and I like the fact that at the end of the episode he's trying to put his contacts in. I thought that was fun, but his storyline was kind of to me. But other storylines that I thought were really interesting was Meredith dealing with Link, because we learned more about him as they had promised in the press release, which I liked. I liked how he's good with kids. I like that he's kind of charming Meredith. And granted, I don't want Meredith to end up with him. I quite frankly like Meredith with Deluca. I think that works out much better. I think there's a real spark there. I think that Link and Meredith could end up being really good friends. I think just given the fact that Link is funny, is great for like a good friendship, a good strong friendship. His connection with Joe is great, but I don't think that Meredith needs to be with Link. I just don't see that spark of attraction there, as I do see it with Deluca. And Meredith and Deluca didn't even talk in this episode, which I thought was hilarious. But I loved at the end where Deluca made such a big save in the OR, which we'll talk about in a second, how he texts Meredith and goes, "Do you want to help me celebrate?" I'm like, oh, he so wants to be with her. And I love the fact that even though he didn't get to speak to her in this episode, the love triangle is still happening. So I really did like that quite a bit. I think the character development of Link and Glasses were the highlights of this episode. Then we have poor Catherine. She's trying to do this one last surgery before she herself is operated on, and it doesn't work, and she breaks down, and she has a fantastic scene with Jackson and Richard, and I thought that was mind-blowing. I mean, Debbie Allen is just such a good actress. Like, you really cannot say anything negative about Debbie Allen's acting. The character of Catherine, I definitely think you can say she's extremely dislikable or likable. I mean, I like Catherine, but I think I like Catherine so much because of how much I like Debbie Allen. But I really like that breakdown scene where she essentially has to accept the fact that her cancer is real. I thought that was just very emotional, and I cannot wait to see if she's going to die in the next episode. My money is on no, but I totally understand why they're hyping it up that it's possible. Alex and Joe didn't do really anything at all in this episode, which I thought was really odd. And this season has the fewest amount of main characters. They have a lot of recurring characters, like they have the new interns, they have Karasik, they have Dr. Kim, who's a fellow, not an intern. And they only have 11 main characters. And I thought, you have so many recurring characters, which I get you're trying to use them to develop new storylines. But, you know, the character of Maggie was really kind of sidelined, except in a few scenes that she had with Teddy Altman. And then poor Bailey, who's such a good actress, was also kind of sidelined, which I thought was really weird because, you know, I felt that, you know, in season 13 and 14, when you had, you know, 13, 14 main characters, I really felt that more or less they all did something. Though there was, I believe it was episode 13 or 15 of season 13, and please don't quote me on the specific episode number, but it was when Bailey, Arizona, and Joe went to the jail to deal with the one patient who was, we don't know what she did, but she was pregnant, and she was a very hostile teenager. Like, I like those types of standalone episodes where you have, like, development of just 3 characters in those storylines, and then how it weaves back into the overall storyline. So I think a few more of those episodes would be fantastic for season 15. So just give characters that, you know, like particularly in this episode, that got kind of sidelined more to do. So Bailey, you know, she was in therapy, which I liked. She's talking about how she's noticing the pulling on her fingers and whatnot, because Bailey's OCD and the like is intense, and she's on antidepressants and whatnot to, you know, kind of calm her out. She needs to relax. She's dealing with a lot with Ben and her job, so I liked that little development in the beginning. But that was really all Bailey did. As I said, Alex and Joe did really nothing. Joe gave Karasik a little inspiration. Now let's talk about Karasik and Amelia, which then also leads into Amelia, Owen, and Teddy. So Karasik is back to help deal with Catherine's surgery, and I really did like his scenes with Amelia. I think Greg German is... I've said several times, if you have seen Once Upon a Time when he played Hades, I think it was so bad there. But I really, really feel that Tom Karasik is his role. Like, I love him as Tom Karasik. So I really liked his bonding with Amelia. And then towards the end of the episode, he starts to bond with Teddy. And I was like, oh, it's like becoming a love box now, or love square. And I'm like, too much. Like, let's make it less soap opera-y, but it makes sense for the show. But I don't think I can ship Karasik and Altman. It just doesn't make too much sense. I mean, Kim Raver's character was with Henry Burden in season 7 and 8, and she's always had a thing for Owen. And for her to jump from those two to Karasik, not saying anything negative about him, but it doesn't really fit her type. And her type is Owen. Like, she wants to be with Owen. So Owen got a job, gave Teddy his job, which was essentially a sign of affection. But then at the end of the episode, he came out to Amelia, and was like, yeah, I want to be with you, but I want to be with Teddy, or at least work out my marriage, work on our kind of marriage, and then work on my possible relationship with Teddy, but I don't think we're going to get together. And Amelia's like, all right, cool, so at least we're together, and then, you know, I'll deal with Teddy and the ramifications of that later. And I thought, Owen just can't have the best of both worlds. I think practically he needs to make a choice, and here he's trying to get away with it by co-parenting this future child, and then parenting Betty and Leo, which I guess is a nice workaround, but, you know, Teddy's always going to be around, and Amelia's always going to be jealous of Teddy. So he kind of needs to pick one and just make and kind of isolate the other. And the obvious answer is Teddy, because he can't isolate the mother of his child. And I'm not saying to isolate Amelia per se if he picks Teddy, but it just becomes more and more messy with this particular situation, because now someone's feelings are definitely going to get hurt. Amelia's love for Owen is going to spark again, and Teddy's love is going to really come out, especially as she's pregnant. Her hormones are going to change and whatnot. And then she's dealing with Karasik, so then she's going to be torn. So there's just a lot there. So I don't like what Owen is doing, but I like the fact that he's giving Teddy his job, and now Teddy can be a chief again, which is fantastic. Now, we have many chiefs, lady chiefs, I believe they called it back in season 12. So Teddy is the head of trauma now, Maggie is the head of cardio, Amelia is the head of neuro, and Meredith is the head of general. Head of peds is Alex, and head of ortho is Link. It was Callie way back when. So Owen picking both, more or less, I wasn't a super fan of, but it works. That's why I feel the episode kind of is not super memorable in terms of rewatchability, because it's just kind of like, there's a problem, but it will get wrapped up in later episodes, but definitely not next week. Now, speaking of Owen, he had this patient who was an aunt and now essentially an adopted mother of her two nephews, and she was really sick, and I really liked that actress. I thought she was great. And then he goes into surgery to operate on her. He gets injected, he gets paralyzed, and then Deluca steps up, and then Deluca does the surgery, and I really did like that quite a bit. Though I really did feel that Deluca even got kind of pushed into the background as well, which I thought was very, very odd. And then more or less that's the episode, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and I think that next week is going to be really intense as well. This episode was intense. I think next week is going to be really intense, and I think this episode is very casual, and it blends into the pantheon of many Grey's Anatomy episodes. So anyway, share your thoughts about the episode in the comments below. I thought it was fun. No real issues at all with the episode. I just kind of want to see more development with other characters, and I'm really curious to see what's going to be happening with Catherine Avery next week. All right, guys, thanks for watching my review, and talk to you all soon.